Hi, and welcome to what I am going to call Time-Lapse Talk, a YouTube series where I talk over a time-lapse of me drawing something. The time-lapse in question is one of the comics I made depicting some sort of combo in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. I've made a couple of those, and in this case it depicts the Colossal Fighter and Armory arm OTK. This OTK is performed by somehow summoning the Synchro Monster Armory arm, equipping itself to the opponent's monster. Then you summon Colossal Fighter and proceed to throw yourself into the opponent's now enhanced fist. This destroys your big boy fighter. Armory arm inflicts 2,000 burn damage to your opponent, and Mr. Colossal summons itself back in order to rinse and repeat until the opponent's life points reaches 0. A really fun and silly combo. Not possible to perform any longer due to Colossal Fighter's errata, making it so it cannot choose to resurrect itself when destroyed. And so this is only possible in Time Wizard form. Those are currently being by Konami and will most likely be replaced with time travel format. So this will only be possible to do in unsanctioned and highly illegal locales such as Dueling Book or your dad's basement. Please make sure to share the directions to your dad's place ahead of the next really big Edison tournament. I first caught wind of this combo from a comment made by Spikehole on my last comic post. I haven't really played Edison format because I just got into Yu-Gi-Oh 3 years ago, when my wife found about 5 classic starter decks scattered in the trash. But I'll tell you more about that in the Scapegoat Metamorph time-lapse. I haven't caught up to Edison yet. I'm currently doing most of my gaming on Master Duel and collecting cards for my pet decks for locals play, but I have been exploring Goat format a bit, and maybe I'll start exploring Edison as well one day. I've been drawing for quite a while, but I believe that everyone who has been drawing for a long time can still have a lot of blind spots, but be quite capable at figuring stuff out. This is the case with me because there are a lot of subjects and techniques that I am not yet very sure of. I usually try to hammer these comics out as fast as possible. This one was a little bit of a larger undertaking, so it took me about 3 days of work. I'd wager about south of 12 times 3 hours. Otherwise, I aim for 2 8-hour work sessions with overtime. It took longer because I haven't really drawn that much action or comics, for that matter. I've mostly drawn character designs and animated a whole bunch, so there are a lot of nuances to the comic book sphere that I'm still exploring. Such as screen toning, panel layouts, backgrounds, effects, etc. You could say that I'm discovering my way of doing things. An interesting choice I had to make was who was going to don the Armory arm. It had to be something with at least 1,900 attack in order to beat over Colossal Fighter, and it had to be contemporary within Edison format. I wanted to choose a monster with a humanoid appearance in order to make the funny face in the final panel. I did look at some Lightsworn monsters for this purpose, but they have very weak stat lines and frankly boring faces. Otherwise, well-known Edison decks are just filled with aberrant monstrosities, such as Sirocco the Dawn or like E-Hero Neo's Alias. Disgusting. But after a lot of consideration, I chose to draw Fortune Lady Dark, because it was contemporary but not competitive. It has a stat line of 400 times its level, which is 5, thereby having 2,000 attack. It is also cool and cutely designed, which is good for drawing attention to the piece. The Fortune Ladies originates from Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds and are used by one of my favorite characters, Curly Carmine, who falls in love with one of the best boys, Jack Atlas, in one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh series. Telling you, don't miss out on 5Ds. I feel like the first season is just a very tight experience, you know? And also, very nice to fall asleep to. They speak in a comfortable way. But that detail might just be interesting for like those in the player base of advanced age or Yu-Gi-Oh parents. I recommend you find and listen to its Japanese dub soundtrack. It is fucking delicious. Also, I just kind of like the Fortune Ladies, design and gimmick-wise. I had a Fortune Lady deck on Master Duel utilizing Bestials as a Chaos Synchro engine. And I'll have you know, it sucked ass. There's a lot of archetypes that are like Fortune Ladies, which are like this pretty cool, tied to a gimmick archetype, right? So the thing with Fortune Ladies is that they age on the table. And this is represented through levels. So every round that goes by, they gain a level. And this increases their attack and defense by some sort of number. The thing is that they're too weak to survive your opponent's turn, because they have no protection, and they don't have any attack because they need to age like crappy wine on the table. And so, it just doesn't matter that they can get stat boosts. Secondly, it's extremely slow. Like, how long of a game are we gonna play until it gains like Blue Eyes White Dragon attack or something? Or like OTK power. It won't happen. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, to get back on track, I think I made the right choice. It was fun drawing her silly expressions, and there is a great contrast of design between her and that huge unwieldy glove. Let's touch upon Colossal Fighter. I really like how he turned out in this comic. He's such an archetypical tough guy, with his, as we call it in Sweden, disco bodybuilder physique. Probably 100% natty, of course. And a pair of really slick glasses. So epic. He's as close to superhero cringe as you can get without entering hero territory. And I laughed quite a bit at his mangled yet inspired face near the end. It is not often that I laugh at my own drawings, but his absolutely demolished nose really did me in. When I make these comics, I enjoy figuring out some sort of payoff. This is something I always try to implement when telling a short story. I define a payoff simply as where we may understand the joke, the punchline, an ending note, the final glance, the icing on the cake. You get it. In this case, it's the final panel where Fortune Lady Dark, and hopefully you, realizes that she is toast because we and she figured out what's going on. All of this might seem obvious to you, but I'm just saying it takes a bit of thinking going from here's a description of how to perform the Armory Arm plus Colossal Fighter OTK to this dramatized comic book version of it. It is interesting making these combo comics. Don't know if you noticed that I try to avoid drawing the actual duelists in these scenarios, but I think a slightly neglected part of Yu-Gi-Oh! In many cases are these monsters who all have a story of some kind tied to them, or at least a very interesting personality. I suspect that there's a lot to gain in focusing on them. I am glad Konami seems to understand this as well, with all of those animated shorts coming out about some of the more popular Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes. They did not choose to animate the most important ones first, such as Sangan's Journey Through Hell and The Tale of Gaga Gigo, but we'll just have to settle with what we're getting for now. Mediocrity. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. They are actually quite well made, and I like them. This video didn't focus on how I made the comic. Wasn't supposed to. But if that's what you're after, you could ask me for pointers on basically any social platform or my YouTube comment section, and if there's demand, I could stream and record an exploration of the Clip Studio file or something. You tell me. Do you want me to make more story and art-based content about Yu-Gi-Oh? Motivate and enable me! Like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you so very much for your support.